state of Iowa. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. Welcome to the IATC Exchange Zone podcast, Iowa's premier high school cross-country and track and field podcast. The hosts of the show, Ben Dewey and Kyle Wagner.
Check 1 2.
Yep. Awesome.
27. We're at our highest. Let's go.
They're back.
No worries.
They probably were texting each other. Oh, now they hear it. They must hear you. My buddy's texting me. They can hear you.
All right, second try at this. Sorry, everyone. We had no idea the audio wasn't working. Welcome to the Exchange Zone, episode number 2, the Preseason Awards Show. And thank you so much for being patient with us. Thomas is working extremely hard tonight back here. A lot of chords. And we're going to get it smooth here probably by next week. So, Kyle, how are you?
It'll get better each week. This is brand new to us again. For those new tuning in this week, there's going to be bumps in the road, especially probably throughout the whole year. But we'll get it. We'll do our best. Big thing is the content. That's what really matters. But we'll get it. But things are good. How about you?
Good, yeah. And luckily there's no school tomorrow, so everyone can stay up a little later if we run late tonight. But thanks for tuning in. We had a great first week on the podcast, both with the live stream and our usual download podcast option on iTunes, Spotify, and looking forward to continuing to build that here as we go. And this is always one of our most popular episodes, Preseason Awards Show, and we're going to get going with that tonight. How was your weekend?
Awesome. We got to race at Johnston on Saturday. Great course. They put a lot of work into that. Good meet. So kudos to the Dragons for hosting an awesome meet. And then now just Labor Day weekend. I wasn't the best. I'm a little immobile right now, so couldn't get around the course too well. But just trying to rest up, get ready for some more meets this week.
Good. I had an interesting weekend.
I'm stoked to hear this.
Haven't told Kyle this story. I'll make it quick, so we're running a little behind. But I'm kind of embarrassed to say this because people might think I'm irresponsible and don't know how to be an adult. But we had a wedding in Memphis, Tennessee. My wife and my son went on Friday because I had school. So I bought a plane ticket a while ago to leave Saturday morning. Had everything ready Saturday or Friday night. Came home from the football game, had everything ready, bags packed. And my alarm was set for 4 a.m. And I wake up and it's light out and it's 6:15. My flight was supposed to leave at 6:20. And I'm like, what happened? And I don't know what happened. I think subconsciously I shut my alarm off and didn't know I did. But anyways, 9-hour drive. Wedding starts at 4. I roll out at 6:30 and I make it there with 40 minutes before the start.
You drove to Memphis?
I drove to Memphis by myself.
And back
Today. So I was there for 13 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I had that fierce, early Saturday morning meet. I had, get the nerves before bed. Like, I set like 4 alarms just to make sure. I left my phone on ring and I never do that. And at midnight, I got like 20 notifications from our school app that like kids' physicals were going to expire this month. And it sounded like the Amber Alert because it was so many emails coming through. I was like, what in the world? So I know your pain there, but hopefully easy drive for you.
Yeah. I mean, lesson learned, set multiple alarms. And now if I ever get mad at an athlete of mine for oversleeping and they watch this, they're going to say, hey, you missed a flight. So can't get mad.
4 a.m.'s a little different.
4 a.m.'s early. It's dark, but I didn't see that because I woke up at 6:15. But anyways, we're here. Just got back about an hour ago, and we're ready to roll. So how fun is it? Meets are going. Man, I tell you what I love the most now with all the live results. I pull up all the AA timing, Cowder results, B&W race services, online race hub, and just see the results come in. It's a great time of year.
Yeah, especially like when we're at meets on the bus ride home, you get them quick, you see everybody else did, and it's just, it's fantastic, this world we live in. It felt like we almost used to have to wait, an hour till after the race was done to get results. And,
right.
It's nice you can get on the road quicker, get your results done, and it makes the night's a little shorter.
Yep, you got high school football starting. It's just not really a better time of year. Weather's starting to cool off a little bit. So here we go. Hey, new part of the show tonight. Quick question of the day. And you can see the question on the screen with the graphic. And I told you this earlier in the week and on the phone, and you were like, ooh, that's a good question. So I was like, all right, let's roll with it. So, what is worse, missing a meet in August for high heat or missing a track and field meet for cold wind or snow? And we have this going out right now on the Twitter. I just sent it out. Go on there and vote. And we'll talk about it later at the end of the show. But my initial thought, cold wind and snow, because there's nothing worse.
Especially when you sit there for like a 6-hour track meet.
And it can last for weeks.
And in track, you have most times multiple meets in a week, especially from a coach, AD perspective. From the athletes, I get it. You're missing meets. You don't want to miss meets. But cross country, you usually only race once, maybe twice a week. So it's not as big a loss to lose a track meet. But
yeah. And the hot's frustrating because it's like, yeah, we probably could run, but maybe it's safe or maybe it's not safe, but it's still like beautiful out. It's 85, 90 degrees. But anyways, all right, let's get to this week. And we're going to here's the order of the show. All right, we're going to recap some of the meets that we had, and that was just on Thursday and primarily Saturday. Just a few recaps. Not a lot happened, but what did happen were some good things, and we'll recap that. Got a couple quick hits. Then we're going to head to our interview with Marissa Ferebee of Pella, the junior from Pella, the defending state champion in cross country and also in track and field, a 3K, 5K, or 3K 1500. And holy smokes, we planned this a week ago, and then she goes out and drops a 17:23. So now we really look good. Well, we knew she was good, but
right.
She ran one of the fastest times in state history.
Right.
On an opener.
I'm guessing the phone was probably already ringing. I know she's just a junior, but
Yep.
I'm going to guess she's getting some phone calls this weekend and throughout this week, some really, really nice phone calls.
We'll have to ask her.
It's a good idea.
So let's get into the meets. You have a few off the top here that you wanted to talk about, so go ahead.
Well, first, kudos to Makokata for having a meet on Tuesday.
How about them?
I didn't think
Tuesday,
even look.
it was fine. And
Yes.
I get why they canceled it, but here in Central Iowa, the front came through, and right about 3:30, 4 o'clock, it was pretty nice out.
Right. Yep. So East Side probably got
Yeah.
a little nicer a little earlier, but Cedar Rapids Prairie was probably one of the bigger meets of the week, and I'm glad it was Saturday and we could have it. On the girls' side, Pella looked outstanding. They looked every bit the number one ranking. New faces in the lineup, not just Marissa, but some new faces in the lineup, which we'll get to. But they take down Cedar Falls, which is a 4A school, obviously, by 26 points to win that meet. We'll get to Pella. I'm not going to speak about them too much right now. But unranked Linmar. I know they're 4A, but taking down number 8 Marion and 13 Clear Creek Amana, potentially sneaking into those 4A rankings this week. But 17-23 for Marissa Ferebee.
Can't wait to talk to her about it.
I know. And another big highlight, first 5K for freshman Charlie Gall of Cedar Falls. 50 seconds back sounds like a lot, but when she runs 18, low 18s, that's pretty impressive for your first 5K. So she might have thrown her name in the ring for the 4A individual race.
Mm-hmm.
On the boys' side, a lot of 4A, 3A schools kind of went to chalk, nothing too crazy, but what really stood out to me was Epworth Western Dubuque. Obviously, we'll get to the individual race here in a minute, but they look to have reloaded nicely, upsetting number 13 Fort Madison and number 19 Williamsburg. Williamsburg moving up from 2A, adjusting to that 3A a little bit early on in the season, and they weren't too far behind Clear Creek Amana. But that individual race, how do you get those three guys the first week of the season? Quentin Nauman, Kanan Dunham, and Jaden Merrick going 1, 2, 3. You probably could have done a trifecta bet, like a horse race, and bet on those three. It wouldn't have been very good return. But Nauman getting the win. He's still got his Dunham's number, it seems like, from track and field. But I don't think those two are done battling by any means.
All three juniors.
Man, what a junior class.
Yeah, you're not going to find a better 1, 2, 3 field probably than that, unless those guys won't see each other again probably. Maybe in 4A, but that's a heck of a field. I don't know if you're going to see a top 3 like that this year.
I wonder if all three go to Heartland.
Maybe.
At Marshalltown?
Maybe. Not at Marshalltown, though. I don't think West Dubuque or Pella go to Marshalltown.
Okay.
Yeah. So Anamosa, you want to talk about Anamosa?
Yeah, another good meet. Number 17, Washington, was one that really stood out, potentially underranked, only being 5 points back from Solon.
You're going to talk about them later in the award show.
We will, so we'll save that. But freshman Kinley Mai for Solon did a good job being 5th overall in that meet, and a pretty good field there. And then Sumner Fredericksburg, losing Hillary Trainer a year ago, how many times have we seen it where the team loses their stud number one, like Aiden Ramsey or Mueller from ADM, and they get better? Potentially happening here with Sumner Fredericksburg, ranked 13 in 2A currently. Let's see. On the boys' side, Cedar Rapids Kennedy looked good, won comfortably. No Adam Gray. Hopefully fully healthy. Hopefully nothing wrong there. But number 12, Anamosa, taking down in 2A, taking down number 16, Solon from Class 3A. So a little bit of a upset there, 2A over a 3A at Anamosa.
Yeah, I mean, you see those star runners graduate, and you worry we're going to take a drop. But what people maybe don't realize is they've had such an impact on everybody else as far as their habits, their training, the way they do things, that it carries into classes beyond just that person. So I think that's a great point. Some teams do get better when the star graduates, so that's good. Out in Western Iowa, in Glenwood on Saturday morning, had a nice little meet, and we saw Lily Denton for the first time on a cross-country course. She had a great track and field season for St. Albert, 3K champion, 1,500 champion as well. She had a showdown with Lindsay Sonderman of Harlan, who I think last year went undefeated up until the state meet.
Yep.
Lily Denton with a 23-second victory over Sonderman. She ran 17:57 at Glenwood. Sonderman, no slouch herself, ran 18:20. Two great races for those ladies. Sonderman will be in the mix in 3A behind Ferebee. And then at Johnston, that's the meet you were at. It was good to see Johnston get back on the course, the defending 4A champions on the girls' side, and they look solid. It's a different type of team, no Verde, so I think they're going to rely on that pack running this year, and it looked good. That pack looked good. Starting with Grace Beasley, Alex Woodley, those two, the leaders for the Dragons, have been around for a while, and a nice easy win for them. And then on the boys' side, how about Owen Merritt? We've talked about him before from Roosevelt. Just a phenomenal runner, 16:20. Probably a comfortable win, even though it was 10 seconds. But the other thing, Urbandale, talk about a team that always reloads.
Yep.
Always right around that 8 to 10 ranked range, and they're going to be there again this year. And that happens every year. Coach Hammerhand does a great job at Urbandale. When they graduate, someone like the guys they've had in the past, Tommy Hensley, those guys, they reload. And here they are again. And they had a great meet. And how about your team, the Bondurant Blue Jays?
Don't forget Farrar.
Bondurant Farrar Blue Jays. That's like Dallas Center Grimes. I call them Grimes now. Is Farrar a city?
It's something.
It's a
little town with a school, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Old school, abandoned schoolhouse.
Well, congrats on your team.
Thanks.
20 points back from Adele, who's 8th in 3A, and you guys are not ranked. And you've been saying all along, got a chance to maybe get to the state meet, and that's a great start.
Man, I'm so happy. Like I was almost in tears. Just the work that they've put in. It's so rewarding. Over the past year, they've really athlete buy-in. They've taken ownership of their training and really just bought in, inspiring some of these freshmen coming in. So I'm going to take a minute to highlight them on the show. We haven't probably
it's
ever
the first
really.
time the Blue Jays have been on the show.
Yeah, I know. Last year you put them as a team to watch, and
Yep.
It was maybe a little early, but they put in the work over the summer. So I'm so happy for them. Brady Sanger, Cooper Steeples, Niall Davis, Jack Reek are part of our varsity lineup. So kudos to them. We've had some girls too that have really stepped up. So excited what's going on, and a big thank you to our coaches too for really getting this group going. But at the meet, Johnston, Urbandale on the boys' side both lost a lot and reloaded nicely, like you said. So it was good to see them come to form. And then Owen Merritt, he looks every bit a high caliber recruit. Has a big, strong frame, strong runner. So that's really I got a good chance to see him in person run. Where he was the show. He won by about 10 seconds, but man, he's a good looking recruit. So excited to see what he'll do this year.
And we'll talk about him later as well on the show. Let's go to quick hits. You have just a couple, and then we're going to bring in Marissa Ferebee.
Yeah, let's start with Chloe Glosser of Pekin. A nice win at Albia over McKenna Montgomery. McKenna Montgomery ranked 2 in 2A. Gloucester was 17th a year ago in Class 1A. Again, Montgomery, that 2A runner-up, so good opener for her. Alyssa Richmond, a nice 13-second win for her out of Manson Northwest Webster over a good field that included Tyra Shootback of West Bend Maller, and then that dynamic trio from Madrid. Maybe thought one of those would have been a little in the mix, but I do think those two are really, really good runners. Obviously, Richmond from Manson Northwest Webster bumping up to 2A. Kylie Rockholtz of Panorama. So it was a really, really good field, so a nice strong win for Richmond there. And then team-wise, not ranked Cherokee in 2A, taking down number 13, Alta Aurelia out of Class 1A by 1 point. And then an excellent race there for Nora Peterson. Big upset on the girls' side, I would say, was the Harlan girls, ranked 14th, taking down number 7 Glenwood. I get their preseason rankings, but still, on paper, upsets.
Yeah. Good stuff. And, not a lot of action this last week because of the cancellations. This next week, we're going to see a full slate, and that's something I want to point out on crosscountryratings.com, which, by the way, that website just keeps getting better by the day. James made some more tweaks to it this week. The individual and the team rankings on his website will be a little bit skewed because he did pull out the ones that have not ran yet, just simply because the ones that have ran, because it's the first race, kind of make the rankings discrepancy a lot larger. So if people go on cross-country ratings, after we get through this week, it's going to be really cool. So have a little patience with that, but the results part on that website, I'm telling you, that's the bread and butter of the website.
So it'll still reflect the preseason rankings all the way through this week, is what you're saying?
Anyone who hasn't ran will be removed from the rankings.
Gotcha.
Just because of the people who have ran, the discrepancy is so large that it'll distort it anyway. So yeah.
Gotcha.
IATC rankings will come out this week as well. So let's get to our interview, guys. Are we feeling good about it? All right. If this doesn't work, we will try again. But we're hoping that Marissa will be on the line. Let us know when she is on there, and we'll say hi.
Hello?
Marissa, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
I can hear you.
There she is. She's on. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear her. That's the only thing. Well, we can see her, and she probably can hear us. It looks like she can hear us, but we can't hear her.
She should be coming in.
While we wait, Rob Hammond says that Memphis is nice.
In the chat.
You're full of baloney, Rob.
Memphis is not at all what I expected.
No. We went out for the Liberty Bowl whatever year. I don't even remember. Not that long ago. And if they made the Liberty Bowl again, I do not care to go back. Give me San Antonio all day. That was fun.
Yep. So our guests are saying that they can hear her online, but we can't hear her. So, anyways.
Wonderful. Can we mute our mics and just unmute our computers?
So we're just trying to figure everything out. Marissa's patiently waiting in the Zoom waiting. The backdrop looks better today. Went with a track and field backdrop. Put it on the podcast with no video, as people will wonder why there's all this pausing. So, what if we
can ask the questions and they can at least hear it?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay.
So, Marissa, we're going to ask you the question since the viewers can hear you, and we will just try to move on, I guess, when it looks like you're done talking, even though you're on about a 20-second delay on our screen. So, any luck before we try that?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's have Marissa hang up or let's take her off. Marissa, you still stay on the stream and we'll try to get this figured out and we'll do it at the end of the show. That sound good? Cuz we won't be able to tell when she's done talking.
No school tomorrow, so she doesn't have to go to sleep.
No school. So, Marissa, why don't you or Thomas, can you take her off? And let's go to the preseason award show part.
All right.
All right. First up on our preseason award show, we've got the Fab Freshmen girls. Kyle, you're going to get it started.
Let's start it off with Charlie Gall of Cedar Falls. Great junior high season at the Washburn Classic, 11:27 to win that race last year in the 2-mile. And then we talked about her runner-up at the Cedar Rapids Prairie Invite to Marissa, who we're trying to get on the Zoom call here. But absolutely outstanding runner. Really, I think, going to propel that Cedar Falls program into some more, make them more competitive in the 4A race. And then Lizzie Vandervoort of Pella. Another one, I remember the Pella coaches kind of talking to me last year a little. She was coming. She was going to be pretty good. Third place in the 3A race at that Washburn Classic in 12:32. I've heard she's even better over 5K. We saw that this week. Only a 4K at Cedar Rapids Prairie this weekend. But won easily in sub 20-minute pace for the Pella Dutch. Let's go Elise Erzen, another Erzen coming on
Familiar
strong.
name.
Yep, Ainsley of Carlisle, her sister Tessa at Des Moines Christian, now Elise at Des Moines Christian. She was 12:24 in that 2A race and won it by over 10 seconds. And then this one I'll be curious. She had a really, really good opener this year. Won their opener in 20:45, 40 seconds ahead of Dylan Moeller, who was 64th in the 4A race last year. Kind of did some projections on where Dylan was last year and all that, and that kind of projects her as a top 40 runner at the state meet. There was only 6 freshmen that did that in Class 4A last year. You want to go through the honorable mentions?
Yeah, just mention who else were in consideration.
All right. Well, another name. How about this one? Another Hostetler, Rachel, out of Mid Prairie. She was 4th in that 2A race at the Washburn Classic. A lot of, people might think a lot of pressure coming from after Marie and Anna. We'll see. It's and Danielle. Sorry, Danielle. But, another one coming. We'll see what she can do. But she's obviously going to be in the mix after being 4th place at the Washburn Classic last year. A couple more. Harper Grodelusion of Cedar Rapids Prairie, 12:13 at the Washburn Classic last year. Had a nice, strong opening on Saturday at Cedar Rapids Prairie, taking 8th overall in a really, really good field. And then a few other names. Anna Burbridge of Mac Valley, Anna Lewers of English Valley, and then we both believe Trinity Klingsmith of Ankeny Centennial. She's going to be a big piece in helping Ankeny Centennial get to the podium.
For sure. We'll talk about her also as we go a little bit later on in this show. Let's go to the freshman boys. Freshman boys, Fab Freshman Award winner nominee. These will be up on Twitter this week, so we always put these up on Twitter to vote for the public, and we'll put those up starting tomorrow. First up, we've got Jesse Gomez of Denver, 10:41 at the state middle school meet last year at the Washburn Classic. He is a true talent for the Cyclones. I think he's going to have a big impact on their team as well. Number 2, so this one we didn't see in cross country last year. I'm assuming he'll run. So this is a big gamble, if you will. I'm just assuming by his track times.
Yep.
But you've got Kuma Gutema and we've heard of that last name before, from Sioux City North, the North Stars. 4:44 in the mile at the state middle school meet, the Mike Henderson meet, and 2:03.67 in the 800. As an 8th grader, I'm going to assume that that'll translate to a fine 5K.
I would agree. 2:03 is moving for an 8th grader. Oh my goodness, that's fast. I'm trying to remember if the other Gutema, if he was better at distance or the 800.
Bashahana?
Yeah,
Is that what his
Bashana,
name?
yep.
Bashana. Yep. All right. Next up, we have Evan Lilly of Lewis Central. 10:24 at the state middle school meet last year, which is just a ridiculous 2-mile time on grass. And that weather was not very nice that morning either when those races occurred. 4:52 in the mile at the Henderson meet, and he's already off to a blazing start, running 15:39 on Saturday at Glenwood. This is a really good group of freshmen, and rounding out this field of 4 is Nolan Weirs of Anamosa, another star. He had a great opener this past weekend as well for Anamosa, and he ran 11 flat last year at the Washburn meet in that 2-mile race. Kyle, this is a really, really strong freshman class. I think this one's going to be a very close voting. Tons of talent. A couple of honorable mentions here that just missed the list. Oak Pashy of Decorah. He had a great middle school career. We've been following him. Aiden Summerfield of Woodbine, 11:10 at the Washburn meet. And then Nelson Perigo, West Des Moines Valley. That's the 4A individual Washburn champion, and he's had a great summer of running as well in the club circuit for West Des Moines Valley and that Valley Track Club, and I think he's going to have a big year for the Tigers. A little harder in the 4A level to make a big dent as a freshman boy, but I think he'll be in their varsity lineup for sure.
Yeah, this is an incredible freshman class coming in, and a more siblings or relatives, like you talked about. With Gutema, I think Evan Lilly, sibling of Colin Lilly when he was at St. Albert, I believe. So just awesome to see that. But yeah, this is going to be a really good freshman class.
All right, let's move on to the breakout star, and we'll start with the girls on this one. So a breakout star, the definition for this would be someone that probably wasn't on the deck last year in cross country, maybe had a big track season, someone that we think has a chance to break that all-state barrier and maybe compete for a top 5 or a state championship finish. So, starting out, we have Elise Brenneman of Pella, 7th a year ago on the Dutch team at the state meet, running almost 21 minutes, I think mid-20s. Saturday, she ran 3rd overall at Cedar Rapids Prairie and ran 18:14, I believe, or 18:16. I think Gall ran 18:14. She ran 18:16. Kyle, what a breakout performance for her to get that season started for the Dutch, and that's huge for them as their team is just loaded already.
And I'm excited to ask Marissa. Hopefully, we get audio working. What's working down there?
It must be the stuff they're feeding them.
Dutch letters,
Maybe.
but
Maybe it's yoga on the square that they do.
who knows? Whatever it is,
Might come down for that.
It's working. They just continue to develop runners. It's just crazy. So kudos to the Dutch and kudos to Elsie. That doesn't happen overnight. So she's obviously doing something right.
Moving on, we have that number 2, Jordan Brown of Indianola. This is a name everyone should watch out for this year. She burst onto the scene this spring in track and field, running 10:06 in the Drake Relays 3K, top 8 finisher there. And she is poised to have a big year. I've heard she's in tremendous shape. If she takes that 10:06 on the track to cross country in this 4A field that you'll talk about in a little bit, she'll be in the mix to be in that top 5 and possibly compete for a top 3 or state championship individual finish. Number 3, Izzy Harden of Maquoketa, 27th a year ago. She finished less than a second behind a 3A runner-up in the 3K, Emmy Danny, in the 3A 3K. And now she has ran for Maquoketa already this year at 19:39 in her opener. I know you texted me about her, and she's really running well for Maquoketa. And then lastly, we have... Who's our 4th here?
Lily Denton up there. You
Oh,
have two threes.
geez.
You have two
I
threes
got
on
two
your
threes
list.
on my list. Lily Denton, breakout star. Now, this one's kind of okay, she's already a star. She won a state title in track and field. But this is her first time in cross country, and Kyle, she walked out there Saturday like she's ran for 3 years, even though she's a first timer. Wins the meet, breaks 18, takes down a tremendous runner in Lindsay Sonderman, and obviously she's already well ahead of the breakout star and definitely the favorite in 1A. Some honorable mentions, and this is a tough one to cut because these girls have a chance to have a big year, and that is Claire. Man, I've been nervous about this name, Kyle.
Zweebomber
of Riceville. I've been nervous all day about it, and as I always say on the podcast, if we mess the name up, we apologize. Let us know how to spell it. 19th a year ago, third in the 3K at the state track meet behind Laura Streck of Van Meter, very good runner, and she's poised to have a big year. She also went 4:44 in that 1500. Anybody else, Kyle? Honorable mention.
Those are the ones, and Izzy. They had the meet Tuesday. It was still pretty hot.
Yeah.
Ran a fast time. She beat Haley Kelchin by over 2 minutes. Haley was
Cascade
7th in Class 1A last year. So,
Mhm.
And then Denton, we haven't talked about it. She didn't run cross country last year. Big track season, finishing 3rd in that 3K. So,
Yep.
These are all due for big years. I don't know how you pick one in a vote. I think they're all going to do it. Which one's going to take
This is our best polls since we've done this.
I think so,
These
too.
are very challenging. Let's go to the boys. Breakout star of 2024. What do you got?
Well, let's start off with Grimes and Dallas Center. Elias,
I like this pick right here.
Elias Arbuckle, big spring last year, 419 in the 1600 and 921 in the 3200, 26th at the state meet a year ago. Definitely going to be in podium contention. Let's go up to Aiden Brady. He was kind of second fiddle to his teammate last year for Wapsie Valley. 35th a year ago in state cross country. Ended up 4th in the 3200 at state track. Wapsie Valley's obviously had 2 big studs coming up the last few years, so Aiden Brady looking to lead the way for them. Keegan Decker, just the freshman last year, I thought did very well in the freshman year. Finishing 17th overall. His older brother, Aiden, on that Liberty team, too. I get that, having a sibling. Sometimes you get caught up in your sibling, battles and maybe kind of limit yourselves. Now that his brother's gone, maybe that, maybe a little weight off his shoulders, and really excited to see what he's going to do this year. Let's see. Number 3, Kevin Coots,
That's
Lewis
4.
Central.
We're on 4.
Are we? Oh,
Yeah. Another double number.
Oh, my goodness. We can't type, apparently. Kevin Coots, number 4, Lewis Central. 918 in the 3200. Last spring, he was 17th in the Class 3A cross-country meet. And you want to talk about his teammate, Marshall Arkfeld?
Holy cow. Marshall Arkfeld gets second the other day out there behind Lily, and then it went Arkfield. Arkfield was one of their 6th or 7th runners last year for Lewis Central, and he's now broke 16. I think he ran 15:56 the other day in Glenwood, and they're also doing a great job of coaching out at Lewis Central because they've had some star talent, but they're also developing behind, and Marshall Arkfield's a great example of that. Definitely someone to watch out for. He was just slightly ahead of Kevin Coots, but I still like Coots, with now a junior, great track season. I mean, heck, 918.
It's moving.
That's pretty good. Anybody else?
And they're bumping up to 4A. It's going to be a big
are.
jump. We've seen
Jump.
We've seen Norwalk do it in the times that we started the podcast.
DCG.
DCG is the other one. It's tough to take that transition. DCG had just come off a state title and bumped up to 4A, and it was tough. So Lewis Central going to do that this year. They obviously lost Ethan Eichhorn from last year's team. Still, I think they're going to be a solid team in 4A, a potential state qualifying team. We'll see. But Kevin Coots and Marshall Arkfeld there for Lewis Central.
All right. Next up, we go to the best non-qualifying team. This is one of your favorite ones, and we'll start with you on the girls' side.
These are kind of fun, kind of go off our podcast from last year, and it's so hard because you don't know necessarily always who people are bringing in. But we're going to start it with Washington. They were 2 points away from qualifying last year, only lose their number 6 runner, Iris Dahl, back to lead the way. So I look for Washington to make some noise in 3A this year, obviously just finishing pretty close to Solon. I have, and then the rest of mine I'm pretty sure all in 1A. So these are fun to find. Wapsie Valley and Cascade. I'm going to bundle them both into one. I have both of them in my top 7. So Wapsie Valley, I think they're currently ranked 20th. They did sneak into the rankings. They only lose their 5th after finishing 3rd at their state qualifying meet last year. Again, in Class 1A, they only take 2, so they didn't quite make it. But they return everyone from that lineup and bring in 2 pretty good junior high runners. And they were just behind, I think they're actually 4th. They were just behind Wapsie Valley at that state qualifying meet, which had Beckman and North Lynn at it. So I look for Wapsie Valley and Cascade to make a jump up into the 1A mix this year. And then my super 4th team, we're going Pleasantville, junior high state champs. It is an adjustment for those 8th graders to now make that transition to 5K. We'll see. But I really think this Pleasantville team could be pretty good this upcoming season.
Good picks. Let's go to the boys' best non-qualifying team of 2024. Once again, a difficult list to nail down. And we're going to start with Cedar Rapids Prairie. All 7 runners, I know I mentioned them in our Way Too Early show from last year, all 7 runners are going to return this year. They already opened up this last weekend from a 4th place state qualifying team. Nicholas Lee, watch out for that name. He had a good spring, 926 in the 3200. He just had a nice performance the other day at their home meet, and they were a solid 2nd behind Cedar Falls at that meet and ahead of a good City High team. That's a non-qualifying team right there. Let's go to Decorah. This is my team of the year. I've been on them since last November. I'm telling you, they haven't ran yet. Watch out for Decorah. This is maybe one of the state's most historic programs, number 1, and they're going to reload here. And they've been building for a couple years. They've been out of the picture a little bit, not so fast this year. They're going to be right in the mix in 3A boys for a trophy. I'm not saying to win it, obviously, but I think that 3rd place spot is going to be up for grabs. But they were 4th at that really hard Clear Lake region, if you remember that.
Yep, we were up there.
They'll return 4 of their top 5, and Oak Pashy will join the mix along with a couple other freshmen as well that I think are good. Grinnell, this is a really sneaky team. This is a team that is going to make a dent in the top 10 for sure. 4th at the Solon region, also a difficult qualifier. They'll return the sophomore state individual qualifiers and their entire scoring lineup. So that scoring lineup also featured, I think, 2 freshmen. So I think they got a sophomore and 2 freshmen in that mix. I like the Tigers to make a big jump this year. And the last team, Tipton. Now, we've kind of been on Tipton a little bit, remember?
Oh, yeah.
We've been tough on them.
Made not enemies necessarily, but
we did a couple years ago. Then last year they were quiet. Well, this year, after that 3 years ago when they were really good, they kind of went through a little lull. And this year I think they're coming back to avenge. And I know you've been excited about Tipton. They just lose their 5th guy, but they got Clay Bowman. I think he's going to have a great senior year. Hard to believe he's a senior now, right? Is he a senior?
That's a good question.
Junior or senior? Yeah. Check on that. But anyways, they're going to be good. They've got a couple of nice junior high kids. Some honorable mention teams, North Polk, Ballard, and then Riverside as well. Riverside, 3 individual state qualifiers last year. Didn't make it as a team. 2 of those guys return. If they can get a full lineup, I think they have a chance.
He will be a senior. And quit scaring me with all these 3A. 3A is wild. There's a lot of teams that just missed out last year. That's going to be it's going to be a dogfight for those last 5 spots. Probably is what I kind of feel.
So 3A boys is like Gilbert, and then a couple schools, and then like 5 to 15 plus are pretty much interchangeable in my opinion right now going into the year. Now we don't know what it'll look like, but it's going to be fun to track. All right, let's go to the surprise teams. We just have a few more categories here. We've got the surprise teams, and then we're going to go to our Iowa's top distance recruit, boys and girls. Then we're going to bring in Marissa. okay? And then we'll finish with our picks for state championships at the end of the show. So we got to keep rolling here. Surprise teams, Kyle, on the girls' side.
Yeah, we're going back to Cedar Falls again. We've talked about Charlie Gall a lot, but they're also bringing in, they had 4 girls in the top 10 at the Washburn Classic, all of them under 13 minutes. That's a recipe for success. Also, when you have a Tom Leonovich, TJ running very well down at Arkansas. So Cedar Falls is one of my surprise teams. Waukee Northwest, we highlighted them last week with the additions of Addie Moffitt and Emmy Danny. Only make them better. I thought they were going to be pretty good before bringing in those two. I think they're going to be outstanding this year, and bringing, like we talked about before, or the last episode last season, bringing in a solid freshman class to begin with. Let's go Dowling Catholic. Tim Ives taking over.
I put them down.
Surprise, surprise. It's without question that Dowling's getting better. I think they even lose quite a bit from last year, but it's a team. He develops on the men's side. He builds programs. I think it's going to happen on the girls' side with Dowling Catholic. They return their Sorry, I missed my note there. Return their entire top 5 from a year ago, where they finished 15th at the state meet. So, without question, potential to be in there. And then Des Moines Christian, last year's 2A state champ. You're thinking a state champ. Why the surprise? Well, they got to bump up to 3A, and they got to deal with Pella, ADM, Gilbert, all those teams. So, who knows? They do add in a pretty good class. We talked about Elise Erzin, but they do return Stella Pothoven, their top runner one of their top runners from last year, Cassidy and Steck, all that were in the top 23 a year ago. I don't know if they can give Pella a run, but definitely potentially in that podium conversation.
No, those are good teams. I think Des Moines Christian, you think about, okay, why are they a surprise? Well, they're making the jump, number one, but they're the defending 2A champions. And I think they're going to be really tough. I see Des Moines Christian, I always say, they live by me, and they pass the eye test when I see them out on the road, girls and boys, and I think they're going to handle 3A just fine. I think there might be the second best team in 3A.
It's
so
open.
We'll see. All right, going to the boys. All right, and we're going to start with Anamosa. We've talked about Anamosa already with Nolan Weirs as a freshman. They're going to work an additional freshman into the lineup, 2 or 3 more. And then they also have some state meet experience as well. I like Anamosa to be a surprise team this year. Next up, we've got City High. Iowa City boys, we're on. A lot of underclassmen. If you remember, 2 years ago, Ford Washburn and the group all graduated. Last year was a rebuilding year for City High. They're extremely young. Well, those guys are all sophomores and juniors now, and they've had a great offseason, had a great track season as well, and they're just starting to build it up again. Nice showing the first meet, a third-place team finish. I like City High to make a jump. Denver. And I think Denver's going to have a good season as well this year. Miles Mathis returned for them. They'll throw in Jesse Gomez to the mix in that freshman class. I think he's going to be a fun one to watch in that freshman class. And then last, you've got Spirit Lake. And, people might go, why is this a surprise? They're ranked 5th. Well, Spirit Lake's kind of just been, that third team where they just have been like hiding in the weeds up in Northwest Iowa. And this year, I think they're going to make a big jump. Spirit Lake kind of known for track, right? Mm-hmm. Track, sprinting, hurdling. I think they're going to have a really good team. Brandon Hughes is a name we've mentioned a lot. He's an elite runner, and I think he'll lead this team this year. And I just realized I made a mistake. It is not Denver that I had down, correct? It's Van Buren.
Van Buren?
It's Van Buren, right?
Yeah. Well, Gomez is coming in for Denver. Definitely.
Denver was honorable mention. Van Buren with Miles Matthews.
That's what it is.
And they've got another good group of runners.
Leo Gyrak coming in as well for them.
Yes, and I think Van Buren's going to have a really surprising year for them. So watch out for them. All right.
Did you want? I don't know if you got. Did you want to mention your super sleeper on the girls' side?
I did.
Okay. Sorry.
Yep. We were flying through it. I have no idea. I haven't talked to anybody. I just have a feeling. Des Moines Roosevelt girls. They've been down a little bit since those girls, Buechner Cable and Hahn, graduated. I just think they're building something quietly right now. There's a couple girls that ran for Merrill, one that ran for Callahan last year that were all really good. Not sure if they'll all end up at Roosevelt because I think those are feeders to Roosevelt. And they also got Gentry, one of the Gentrys back, and I think they're going to be good. So just watch out.
I wish boys ran at Johnston, the girls didn't. I wish we would have got to see them.
All right, this is exciting. Iowa's top distance recruit, boy and girl, and then we're going to try to bring Marissa back on. So it looks like I'm going to have to call on my phone. So
Okay.
we will attempt to do that. Okay. All right, here we go. On the boys' side, are we ready? Or we're going to go girls first. Let's go girls first. Okay?
Yep.
Girls first. This is a tough one. This is tough. Remember, to qualify for this, you got to be a senior. So a lot of people always go, well, this girl, if she's not a senior, she's not recruitable really right now to sign. So we're just seniors. Here we go. Number 1, we've got Drew Beeson of Ankeny. And, man, I think she's really talented. Kind of one of those that just kind of flies under the radar a little bit. Hasn't won anything yet, but she's consistent. And that's what I like most about her. And in a year in 4A where things are wide open now with some graduations, I think her experience is going to play a big part in the success she has. 4:39 in the 1500, 10:03 in the 3K, a 2-time All-Stater in cross country, 5th last year. She's going to make a heck of a 10K runner, Kyle, by the way. And she's got some good foot speed as well in the 800. Number 2, Cadence Huck. We mentioned her in the opener last week from Nashua Plainfield. 55.7, 2:11 in the 800, and 4:42 in the 1500. Looks like she runs cross country for fun, but she's not too bad at that either. 19-minute runner. Extremely talented and versatile athlete out of Nashua Plainfield. Number 3, Noelle Steinis. We've talked about her quite a bit. Her journey from Cal Wheat, now at Tipton. Multiple-time state champion in cross country and in track and field. 4:38 and 10:08 in the 15 and 3K. And number 4, Ani Wiedemeyer, now at Pleasant Valley, formerly at City High. Top 10 for City High last year in cross country. I think she was 8th. She splits sub 210 in the 800. She's ran 210 in the open. 4:33 in the 1500. And oh, by the way, she's got 55-second 400 speed. She is a machine, Kyle. I've seen a lot of good runners in person. She is right up there. She is so strong. She is so fast, and she's tough on top of it. But these 4 girls are very marketable to schools of all levels, and I'm excited to see the year. I know we are, to see the year that they have on the course. I'll throw in a couple honorable mentions. You got a trio of Ames runners, all in question marks. I really like Lauren Risdall of Ames. She just continues to develop. I think she's got a high ceiling. Claire Helmers and Marley Turk have shown what they can do. They got to stay healthy this year, and I think they're going to have a great year. Lindsay Sonderman of Harlan, Alyssa Richmond, Manson Northwest Webster, and Grace Bolin. Can't forget about Grace out of Pleasant Valley. She has range too, 56-second quarter miler, 2:10, 2:12 half miler. She runs a 5K, but this is a really sneaky good class of females here in the state of Iowa.
It is, and I feel like it's a lot more. There's definitely some mid-distance focus in it. But especially Cadence Huck, that's just wide range with what you talked about, and especially as Division I, especially is going with the roster limits for track or all sports, and going more towards that full scholarship route. You got to be valuable in a lot of different events. You can't just score in one event. That might not get you recruited to necessarily the school you want to be. You can say pass on this question, but if you're at Waukee University and a college coach and you have one scholarship to give, of your 4 that are going on the poll, which one would you?
You can't make me pick.
I said you could pass.
I'm going to pass.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, I have to compete against one of them in track, so I don't want to make her mad because she's really good. So So I'm gonna pat, or I have to compete. We have to compete against two of them with Drew Beeson as well. Different events with Beeson and Wiedemeyer, but I'd take any of them. I really would. I think they're all tremendous and definitely can run at the highest level.
Good answer.
Let's go to let's go to the boys.
All right,
Boys.
let's do it. I'm going to start my honorable mentions before we get into the poll. So honorable mention, we talked about Elias Arbuckle as that breakout star going into his senior year. Obviously, DCG develops kids very nicely, so he fits the category here. Emmett Swartzendruber, the defending 2A state cross-country champion. Anytime you win a championship race, that gets you in the mix automatically to be a top recruit. Evan Osler, a great runner, also in that 2A class for Okoboji. And then I talked about him from this past Saturday. Owen Merritt, he has the resume, the credentials, but looks the part as well. But going up on the poll, we're going to go first with Mustafa Tia out of Iowa City West. Just a mid-distance machine, can run cross-country, but 49 second speed in the 400, 151 in the 800. He's been a joy to watch over the last 3 years. Excited to see what he's going to do in his senior season. Jack Flory of Dowling, I think it's automatic. You have to have someone from Dowling in your recruit polls. It seems like there is one every single year. He's the guy for Dowling this year. 15:33 in the 5K, 9:19 in the 3200. Ethan Zuber of Ankeny, the reigning Gatorade Athlete of the Year in cross country, running 8:56, 4:06, and 1:55. That's just incredible range. He's a competitor, and that's what you want to see at the college level, is who's going to get in a championship race and be able to hold their own, and that's Zuber out of Ankeny. And then finally, this guy's really broke onto the scene of late.
I saw someone commented about the breakout star. He could qualify.
True.
Because he was in the 20s last year in cross country, and you just forget because of what he did in track.
Correct. He had almost too big of a track season to be a breakout star. Tony Anania of Norwalk, 153, 406, and 903.
Man.
Like Zuber, just incredible range. I saw he just took a visit to Michigan. So, it's awesome these kids are getting those calls, taking those visits. But it's Mustafa Tia, Tony Anania, Ethan Zuber, and Jack Flory going up on the boys 4A poll. The top recruit poll. All four do happen to be 4A, sorry.
Yeah, that's true. And I kind of look at Flory and Merritt as like 4A and 4B. I think they're so similar. And if you look at their times, they're very similar. Flory with a little bit of an advantage in cross country over the last couple years, but Merritt was on the deck last year, top 10 runner.
And I would, if you're thinking, why is it so many 4A? Well, 1A, you lost your top two runners with Bengden and the kid from Wapsie Valley. 3A is all going to be juniors with 10 past Dunham, Nauman. So a lot of the
Schwartzendruber back in.
Right. Yeah.
No, he's a senior.
Right.
He's on the honorable mention list.
Right.
Yep.
So a lot of that's why it's a lot of 4A guys, is because those other classes have lost a bunch, and 4A seems to reload on the boys' individual side.
Well, if I had to pick one of those, man, that's tough. Zuber, in my opinion, his competitiveness, and not saying these other guys aren't competitive, but man, he rises to the occasion every single time for multiple years. It's incredible. Obviously a talent, but he just has that winning edge that sometimes might not be teachable.
Right. I feel like he's been on the scene since his sophomore year, Tony his junior year.
Tony, I haven't seen a lot of Tony just in a little short track season, but holy cow, was that impressive for what he did for Norwalk last year. Just a great group of kids, and then you got Mustafa, obviously, who just is immensely talented and continues to improve too, which is fun to watch. Every season he's dropping a second or two in that 800, and
which is
maybe
tough
he'll
to do.
give a break in 150 this year. I think he's got a chance to do it. He's a 49 low second 400 runner. He's got the speed. He can run a mile as well. I think he's got a chance to do it this year.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. All right. We have made Marissa wait for she logged in at 7:45. Can you hear us, Marissa? I can see you now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
There we go.
Nice. Look at that.
She logged in at 7:45, and she's been waiting the entire time. So I really apologize that you had to wait so long. But we're excited to have you on. And as you probably heard in the opener, we planned this before your breakout race on Saturday. But now you're really making us look good because it's like, holy cow, we got the girl that just ran 17:23 on the show, and we're rolling. So congratulations on the great first race.
Thank you.
Kyle, you want to start?
Yeah, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself? We know you as the runner, like that's what I guess the state of Iowa knows you as, but tell us a little bit about yourself and what you like to do outside of running.
Yeah, I would say I spend a lot of my time running, but my free time, I like to bake. I actually have like a sourdough starter that I started at the beginning of the year, so that's like a fun hobby that I have. I like finding like good books to read. When I find a good book, it's hard to put it down. And then Pella is right by Lake Red Rock, so my family has a boat and we go out almost every weekend. So I like to ski. I learned to wakeboard this year, but those have kind of had to stop with cross country starting and just trying to stay healthy for the season. And then I like the weekend just hanging out with friends and family and just making the most of the time that we have.
Nice. I think we both want to know, you had a great opener this weekend. Did your phone, has your phone rung yet or increased in phone calls from your stellar performance on Saturday?
Not really. I would say it was just coaches I was in contact with before just reaching out and congratulating me. But no, it's been pretty quiet. I think being a junior and being a girl has kept it on a little bit on the down low. So kind of just waiting around.
So what did your summer look like to get you to this point to have that great opener at Prairie?
I would say mainly it was just consistency with training. I didn't start till like mid to late June. I got my wisdom teeth out and then I got sick. So it was kind of a later start than I was hoping for. But after that, it was just trying to stay super consistent with my runs, following each weekly split, increasing mileage, getting in longer workouts as the weeks went, and then also just getting physically stronger. So going to the gym and getting some lifts in, and then with harder workouts, but also working mentally just to kind of stay in the racing mentality. It's super easy during the off seasons to lose what it feels like to mentally be in it during like a race. It takes a different sort of gear. So just trying to almost replicate that during workouts. And then during my off seasons, I train with Accelerate. So this summer I started going up a bit more often. And I think working with Ben more closely has really helped me improve times. We have great coaches down in Pella, but I think just trying something new, and I found that Accelerate works for me. So now just partnering with Accelerate and with Cutler has really seemed to be the almost bread and butter.
Yeah, so I got a chance to see Marissa actually this summer. I went up to Accelerate to watch a workout, and it's good to meet you in person. But you could just tell what she was doing that day, that this was going to be a big year. And I'm glad to see it started that way. Question about your high school team. And obviously, Pella's had a lot of success. What do you think has been the key to that success? I mean, obviously, you've got good, talented runners, but when you have successful programs, there's more to it. So what do you think is the key to the Pella success in girls and boys?
I would say that our entire team, so girls varsity, JV, boys varsity, boys JV, the entire team is super hardworking and driven for success. There's not a person on the team who doesn't want to go out there and run their best. I mean, we have people who come out senior year for the first time. We have wrestlers that come out just to run for fun. Like, our team is very diverse. You have the varsity who are very driven, but then you have the down to like the JV who just want to be out there and support us. And I think that we always said it's like a butterfly effect or ladder effect, that everybody at the bottom is pushing the people to the top to get better and better. And I think you're just seeing that play out as we keep going. And then also we have like the most amazing coaching staff. We have Coach Cutler, Lord and Lady Hammond, Coach Fife, and Coach Pingle, super well-rounded coaching staff. Yeah, there's a lot of them, but they all have their little niches and they work really well together to get us where we need to go and support us where we need. Coach Pingle does great with our strength and just keeping us all injury-free, looking at our little nags and just keeping us healthy. Coach Fife has great warm-ups for us, and then Lord and Lady Hammond are the logistics side of it, you could say, and then Lord Hammond provides all the fun tech stuff, media stuff. But Color just has a really big passion for the sport. He pours a lot into us during the season, and it's super evident. We can see it on the course, and I think having a coach that cares is a really big thing. We went to a camp in Oregon this year, and we got to see other teams that don't have as big of a coaching staff or as present of a coaching staff as we do, and it was just really eye-opening to see that not everyone gets to experience what Pella has, and that's 5 coaches who really, really care about you and really want you to succeed.
That's great. Yeah, you can definitely see that with your team. I think you guys have the best social media account, by the way, of any
Yeah,
high
Lord Hammond puts a
schools.
lot of time into it.
Let's say, how do you have the time?
Time out. You call him Lord Hammond?
Yeah, Lord, our coaches are Lord and ladies because they are the best in the state. So they're our lords and ladies. That's what Color tells us.
Wow. So I'm going to start calling Rob Lord then. So
I'm
Rob
sure
is
he would enjoy that.
he's our website coordinator for the IATC. So he's the man behind all the rankings, getting those out on time, and he does a great job. So new name for him.
Does he sleep?
I'm going to text him and say, "Hey Lord, we need this." All right. Hey, one other question real quick, and then we're going to move on to our state picks, state championship picks of the year. Last question. You know, when you become an elite runner, which you are, you've started somewhere, and you've raced where you've lost races, where you weren't even close to winning races, I'm sure, as a freshman and in 8th grade and such. When did it click for you, and let's start with when did it click, and then the second part B to that question is, once it has clicked, what is your mindset like now after it's clicked compared to when you first started?
Yeah, I was never really a big runner when I was little. I played soccer, but I was the goalie because I didn't like to run. So kind of my mom was a runner, kind of. She did the calf marathons and 5K, so she kind of started pulling me along, and then I just did cross country for fun. And then freshman year, I just came out and was like, oh, I'm kind of good at this, I guess. But I wouldn't say I didn't really click until this past track season. We went to the UNI indoor meet, and I ran the 3K there, and Addie was there, and Hillier Trainer was there. And I hit the blue standard that day, not even completely trying to. I was just going out there racing for fun. I didn't have a race plan, didn't have a goal in mind. I just wanted to run. And I think I ran 10:12, and the blue standard was 10:15. So I was like, holy, like, this is like actually possible. Like, I might be talented at this. And then the next time that I raced was the 1500, and I hit the blue standard in that too. So that was first attempts at both of those, and I was just completely blown away. I had no idea that that's what that season would hold. I mean, I barely went to Drake the year before, so just seeing that jump was crazy. But I would say that's where it hit me. And then my mindset shift now, I would say, I think it's just you have a lot more like wide, like panoramic mindset, if that makes sense. Like seeing each race for what it is. Like our race this weekend was important, yes, but it's just a building block to where we want to go. We have 7 races and then the postseason this year, so just using each of them as a building block to carry along our team. Like this race, we really pushed up Elsie. She had a really great race. That was really exciting to see. She would have broken our old school record if I hadn't ran. She would have broken our school record. So
Wow.
just like, yeah, she doesn't get enough credit for what she does. Kind of gets overshadowed. So shout out to her. But I think just seeing each race as a stepping stone, each workout as a stepping stone, that your body's going to do. My main mindset is your body's going to do what your body's going to do. We run all these workouts at this pace, so your body gets used to this pace, and then you're going to go out there and do it. And you kind of have to let your mind let go and just let your body do what it's going to do. And yeah, hope for the best.
Well, that's terrific. Great stuff for all of our listeners, young athletes, senior athletes as well, of all levels too. And that's really good advice. So, hey, Marissa, we really appreciate you waiting this long. I really apologize that it took this long, and you probably had better things to do on your Sunday night of Labor Day than sit and wait for an hour and a half to get on the show. But thanks for being patient, and best of luck this fall. We'll be following you all season long.
Nope. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too. All right, Kyle, great interview with Marissa. She's fantastic. She's going to be a great one. She's got another year, too, after this.
Right.
Keep that in mind. So that's scary.
Well, it's good because I have a lot more questions for her. So
okay, we'll have her
we'll
back
have
on.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go to our picks of the season, championship picks. Once again, we're just kind of falling on a big guess here, and some of these might come back to bite us. Some of these might make us look pretty good. But let's start with we want to go girls first. We don't have any graphics for these, so we're just gonna go through them.
Yep.
Individual picks. Kyle, I'll go first, and you'll go second. Does that sound good?
Works for me.
All right. We're gonna start with the 1A girls individual state champion, Lily Denton. St. Albert. We've talked all night about her. I think this one's a pretty clear favorite.
I think so too, especially with Richmond and Steinus going up to 2A.
Yeah.
Absolutely dominating performance in the 3K and track. Good opener this year. I don't know. Not much else you can say. We've talked about her a lot this episode. Not locking it up, but she's a heavy favorite, I would say.
Okay. In the team race, I'm going to go with Madrid.
And I'm going to completely agree with you.
Is it a lock?
I'm taking those off. Mine's bouncing back for some reason, but I don't think so. I can't lock it up. Southwind's just too good of a program historically. And there's just 1A, there's so much that can happen. Those teams don't have near as much depth. So I would say no lock for me.
Okay. And I'm going to sit on the no lock as well. I know last week, did I lock? First of all, take away my locks forever. I'm all over the place. I need a free slate of locks. So just take them away from me. No locks right now, but I'm going with Madrid. 2A girls, individually, I'm going to go with Alyssa Richmond of Manson Northwest Webster.
That's a good pick. I know she's having a good summer. She's putting in the work. For me, this is probably a dark horse pick, scary pick. I'm going to go Lauren Krogman out of Starmont West Central, 6th a year ago, just a sophomore. It's going to be a tough battle. Richmond's probably the favorite, maybe Steinus too, but I'm going super dark horse with Lauren Krogman.
I like that pick. She had a great year last year. Let's go to the 2A team champions, and on this one, I'm going to go with Van Meter. They returned Streck and McCoy, both top 10 caliber runners. I think they were in the top 20 last year. They got to find some pieces, but Van Meter usually reloads, and I'm going to go with them with Des Moines Christian bumping up.
And this one's pretty fun. Like I'd say the 4A girls, I would say pretty open. I don't think there's necessarily a favorite, but I'm going to go Tipton, 11th a year ago, and adding Noelle Steinus.
Good pick.
And just adding her doesn't make them like a favorite. I think she's coming in and going to help those girls around her become better, buy in, and that's what is going to get tipped into the state championship trophy.
3A girls, individual, Ferebee.
Lock.
You're going to lock it up.
That's one I 100% lock. Barring some crazy, we don't want injuries or anything like that. Hope nothing like that happens. But just unreal performance to start off the season. I would lock that up.
Yep. And Sonderman, ran pretty close to her last year, and that's something that we can't forget about. I think it was, only 4 or 5 second gap. But I do agree. I'm going to go with Ferebee as well. I mean, look at last year's results. 1838, 1842. Audrina Jones of Sioux Center, who we haven't seen yet this year, was 1853. She had a great track season. Some good runners there in Class 3A, but I agree.
And she just had a huge track. Sonderman's been consistent over her 4 years.
And getting better.
Yeah, exactly. Always been in the mix, but I just think Faraby's taken that next step to just separate herself from the field.
Team, Pella, lock. That's my first lock. When I get this designed, we're going to have a lock board right here. And we'll put Pella. You're going to lock them, aren't you?
Am I allowed to lock 3A teams, or should I stay out of locking in 3A?
No. You don't have to.
All right. I still think Pella's going to be the returning state champions with a lot of that lineup back. We've seen in their opener.
They kept the freshmen and sophomores in the 4K race the other day, too.
Yep. So, I'm going to go Pella. I'll stay out of locks for 3A.
Mount Vernon Lisbon probably the second place team in my opinion right now, and we'll see how that plays out.
Yes, but you did say Des Moines Christian in the mix there.
Yeah,
So
you're right. Them or
uh,
Des Moines Christian, I
I-
think, for 2-3.
I would 100% agree.
4A girls. Similar to you, I'm not going to make a pick in this one. I think of any of the classes, this one is the most wide open. I don't think I've seen anything like this. And we were just talking before the show started. A lot of really good runners, but none that have really even been in the top 5 so far.
Right. I think maybe 2 years ago it was kind of like this with Bolin and Lightson and that class, or where they were probably juniors then. But again, we have Drew Beeson, Annie Wiedemeyer, Nikia Oliveri of Waterloo West is
She's the top returner.
Piper Messerly, great cross-country season last year, outstanding, now going to be sophomore. All those girls definitely deservedly so. Charlie Gall, the freshman coming in, we've only seen her have one race, but I think that's enough to at least put her in the conversation. I will make a pick. I think this is another girl that had an outstanding track season, took a big jump even this summer from what I feel. It's Emmy Danny of Waukee Northwest is going to be my pick.
Okay. Let's go to the 4A team race. And this is also one similar to the girls' individual race in 4A that I think is wide open as well. A lot of people would go with Pleasant Valley with Wiedemeyer coming over. They return a lot of their team from last year, and I think they're going to be tremendous. I do think it might take them a little bit of time to gel with that group. So my pick, Kyle, I can't believe I'm doing this. I mean, I like them a lot. Kind of teased it last week. I'm going with Centennial right now. I just keep looking at the lineup. All 7 back. Klingensmith. I went back on these middle school results last year. I think she won every CIML middle school meet until the last one. So if you're winning those as a freshman, you're an instant varsity runner typically. I don't know that for sure. And then Julia Flick, who they've kind of changed her trajectory as a runner from a sprinter to now being more of a distance runner. She ran the 800 last year for Centennial, was on a really good 4x8 team, and she went out for cross-country last year or 2 years ago and was just, kind of learning it. I think she's going to have a much more improved year. They just have so much depth, and it's solid. And then we haven't even mentioned Morehauser,
Right.
who was 9th last year.
Exactly.
So what do you think?
November of last year, I had Centennial as my preseason number 1 coming in, my pick to win it, but I think Wiedemeyer is the difference for Pleasant Valley, and so I'm going to go Pleasant Valley, but I think a lot of those top 5 teams are all going to be pretty close.
Yeah, Johnston will be really good. They're, defending state champions, and then, outside of that, the CIML schools are going to be tough to beat. Ankeny, I think, will be better this year. It's going to be tough sledding in the state meet, but it's going to be fun because I think there's going to be a lot of close calls throughout the year.
Right. DCG is going to be good. A healthy
DCG,
Ames is going to be good.
If Ames can get healthy, I think they could be pretty good. So yeah, it's going to be fun to track. All right, last part. Boys, individual and team picks. 1A boys, Matthew Shaw. Individual champion for me, Makokota Valley, top returner in cross country. He's going to have a big year for them, and I think you look at what he did in track, a great season in track and field. Also, watch out for Lincoln Bainbridge of Van Buren.
What's crazy is Woodbine and Makokota Valley, and Wapsie Valley. All those, really, really good runners from last year with Landon Bengden. But I think Woodbine is going to keep the streak going for the individual titles. They'll get 3 in a row. Gunnar Wagner, 3rd in the 3,200 behind 2 seniors that have now obviously graduated. So I'm going to go Gunnar Wagner of Woodbine as my 1A pick.
And in the team, I'm going with Earlham. I liked what I saw at Johnston the other day. Maybe don't have the low stick they've accustomed to have at Earlham, but really strong pack for a 1A school, and I think they'll get better. They're very well coached there at Earlham.
Right. They ran awesome at Johnston, and I think they're going to get even better. I think that low stick might even still come, whether it's Brait or whoever it is. But I think they're ACGC definitely looked good in their opener too, but I do agree that it's Earlham in the 1A boys race. Lake Mills, obviously losing their one's going to hurt, but I'm going to go Earlham as well.
2A individual, Connell Sauser of Olwine. Going out on a limb here on this one. Had a good cross-country season. I don't think it finished the way he wanted to last year. Came back, had a very good track season, 425, 933. This is a 2A class that returns Schwartzendruber.
Mm-hmm.
So going against the defending state champion here. But I think it's going to be a close race. It was a close race last year with Schwartzendruber pulling it out. I think it's going to be a close one this year.
I think so too, but I think we're going to have a new state champion in Class 2A.
Okay.
And it's going to be the guy coming up from Class 1A, Emerson Vokes of Grundy Center. Fourth in the 3200, 934. He was the 1A runner-up to Bengton of Woodbine last year in 1602. I'm going to have him as my my state champion in Class 2A.
All right, very good. On the boys' side, we've got a very tough race here, also wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Okoboji. They returned 3 of 5 from last year. Remember, Trig Himdahl did not run, I think, until the qualifying meet last year. He's a big part of their team. I'm assuming he'll be back healthy this year. You obviously have Evan Osler as the lead runner for Okoboji. Those are two really good runners, and I like Okoboji.
It's an awesome pick for sure. I agree they're probably on paper the favorites coming in, but I think Mid-Prairie has had a lot of girls' success. I think it's now the boys' turn. I think with everyone coming back and then adding even more depth, that's going to give Mid-Prairie the edge, and they're going to take home the 2A state title.
2A, or let's go to 3A boys. Dunham or Nauman or 10
I
pass.
say you got to throw a third in there too. Just
Now, 10 pass and cross has not been at this level, right? I mean, he's really good on the track. One of the state's best, if not the best, maybe this coming year in the spring.
Yep.
So I don't know if I can put him in the same category in cross as these two guys, but we don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. He's a competitor. You never know, especially if it comes down to a kicker's race. Obviously Nauman and Dunham have foot speed, and they're not just going to hand it over, but I think 10 pass definitely deserves to be in the conversation with these two. But it's going to be...
I'm going Nauman.
This is going to be the show. 4A is going to be fun too, especially on the boys' side, but I agree. It's Nauman. Right now he's got the hot hand. He's on fire, and you ride the hot hand. So I do think I'm going to go Quentin Nauman as of today on September 1st at 9:41 p.m. as my 3A state champion.
Team pick 3A boys, Gilbert, and this will be a lock on my board for next week when I get this done. Gilbert with a lock, and they returned 4 that were on the deck.
They got an impressive team, and they're going to be good for a while. They're bringing their 8th graders this year are going to be really good, so they'll be coming up in the near future. I'm gonna not pick this one. I'm gonna stay out. I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna stay out.
All right. Des Moines Christian, I think, is going to get second right now.
It's a really good field too, especially Pella, Gilbert.
I think Pella's in the mix there too. I still need to see a little bit more from everybody else. Obviously, we saw Pella this week, and they're looking to reload after losing quite a bit, and I think their roster is going to just kind of evolve throughout the season. So we'll see what Pella looks like. I think Des Moines Christian's going to be tough in 3A moving up from 2A.
Yeah, and you got ADM, Mount Vernon, Lisbon, Decorah, MLC Floyd Valley. I think a lot of good teams in the mix there.
All right, last one in the 4A individual boys. Man, this one makes me sweat thinking about it. Zuber, or who do you got?
Lead off. You go for it. Lead off.
Tony is really good from Norwalk.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't seen the full cross country from Tony. So Zuber, in my opinion, right now has the advantage. Merrick also in the mix. Such a talented young man. But I'm going to go with Zuber with that experience at the highest level in cross and track. For the last couple years, he's been in the mix, and reigning Gatorade Cross Country Athlete of the Year in the state of Iowa. I will go with Zuber.
That's fair. He's technically the champion until he's not. Every bit deserving. That's without question. Merrick has some great credentials too. And I think that's the reason why I'm going to go Tony Ananias. The focus is on those two. Tony Ananias is going to sneak in and steal
He did it in track.
The 4A boys individual championship. Okay,
very good. And on the team side, this is also the one we always sway. Gosh. So I'm going to lay it out. Dowling loses 2 of their top 3.
Yep.
But we say this every year. Same with Cedar Falls. Ankeny returns numbers 1 and 3. So Ankeny on paper has the most back from firepower standpoint. Now, what we don't know about Ankeny is what they have from a depth standpoint. I don't think they're on the level of depth that Dowling and Cedar Falls are as a program, but it's improving. Coach Lindeman just does a fantastic job. I think he's really, really a great coach. Kyle, I think these 3 teams are all within 5 to 10 points. I don't see a separator other than the fact that of the 3 teams that we're talking about here, I think Zuber is the difference amongst them. And I always like that 1 point. So I'm going to go right now. I'm going to go with Ankeny.
All right. Good pick.
I lean Ankeny right now.
This is tough. And I it seems like every year it's Dowling or somebody, or, Dowling or the field. Like
Yep.
you have basically those 2 options, whether it's Sioux City North or City High, whatever years it's been. My goodness. I feel almost
one of us has to take Dowling.
Any other year, if a team had enough coming back, this is the year. This is probably your best shot at Dowling you're going to get. But I just don't see enough coming back besides maybe Ankeny to give Dowling that run. So I'm going to stick to it. Dowling as my 4A state champions.
Okay. All right. Good picks. We'll see how those stand. We'll get these out on our Twitter this week on Monday for everyone to vote for. We'll recap them next week here on the Exchange Zone. Thanks again for the patience you've given us tonight, working through some of the setup and everything. Also want to point out we got a new team member joining the show here. We'll keep giving him some more roles as we go. But Joel Bloomer's here, really good runner himself in high school. He's going to help us out. We're going to give him some responsibilities and some research to do as well just to make this better. Also, like and subscribe to our YouTube page. I think that'll help as we continue to grow here. And if you give us a like, subscribe, gives you notification when we're coming on. But we're here every Sunday, 8 to 9, and hopefully we'll start on time moving forward. And if we don't, we'll have to have more patience. But I think we're getting close to getting it nailed down. Yep, we're going to go to the Twitter post right now. I'm going to refresh it. Thank you, Thomas. Wow.
Ooh.
It was closer than I thought. Cold, wind, and snow, 53%. High heat, 46%. So it went down pretty close, 45 votes. So 22 hours left to still vote if you want. I'm not sure if you need to anymore, but, man, that's a tough one. Both frustrating. There's nothing worse than cold wind and snow, so I still have to go with that.
And I don't coach track at the moment. I time, so most meets I get to sit in the press box. So
yeah,
that's sometimes a lot nicer. But man, no, I apologize to my dad. He just got remarried a couple years ago, and I apologized to him at my wedding for making him sit out there in those cold, rainy, wet track meets.
Nothing worse.
Nope.
There's nothing worse. And the high heat is annoying too, especially when it's sunny out and you think you could probably go and run. But anyways, let's wrap it up for tonight. Longer episode. This one always is a little bit longer. We try to usually keep it to an hour as we go forward. Next week we'll recap a great week of meets that we're going to have coming up, and I think we'll know a lot more about the landscape across country in our state as we move forward. So with that, happy Labor Day. Enjoy Monday off, and good luck this week, cross-country runners and fans. Go out there and have fun. The weather looks to be great. get out on the course and cheer on your team, your kid, and let's enjoy the sport. Let's keep growing it. We'll be back next week on Sunday night at 8 p.m. here on the Exchange Zone.